Good eye, mates. Good eye, travelers. Don't live here. Don't surf here.
Experience nothing.
What?
Pathetic.
That's a good one.
And today we have The Surfer. Apologies, some of this video was corrupted. You're gonna be hearing a lot of me, and I'm gonna keep that original review intact because I was on a roll, but I'm not gonna do the whole thing over again, so I'm sorry about that. You don't get to see too much of this, but it is what it is. Never change, Nic Cage. Never change. You may not have heard of this one. If you're like me at all, or have similar taste in film, you may already be aware of this almost kind of cinematic subgenre of sorts, if you will. Films with our boy Nicolas Cage. The special movies, the ones that have a little dose of what we call the Cage Rage. If you know me, I've reviewed Nicolas Cage movies before in the past, and I always say, I unironically think he is an extremely talented actor. Does he spend his money very quickly on some crazy, austere, expensive stuff and have to then take roles for movies that might have been of varying quality to pay the bills sometimes? Sure, but for every super weird film only rescued by his presence, he also stars in some very well-made subversive films or deeper films that have him bearing his soul on camera on the silver screen. I'm getting ahead of myself though. The Surfer is the fourth feature film by Irish director Lorien Finnegan, who is, although most known for a film that I missed out on this one, Vivarium. I think it's Jesse Eisenberg, I think. Mr. Finnegan's most recent work would technically be Nightmare Radio Night Stalker, and I put on here he did, quote, Foxes. I do want to give a shout out though to who is honestly the primary antagonist of the film.
I know it's Mars to lose face in front of your boy, but you gotta know when to back down, or it could get a whole lot worse.
Julian McMahon, I believe it's McMahon. This guy was in the 2005's Fantastic Four. He was Victor Von Doom. He was Victor Von Doom in Fantastic Four. So The Surfer, what the hell is this movie about? What's going on here? Eat the rat! Eat the rat! Nicolas Cage plays a man, husband and a father, although it appears that the relationship with his wife is kind of on the rocks right now, and the relationship with his son is lukewarm, tepid at best perhaps, but we're here in Australia. Claims that he grew up here. He's there at the beach, and there's a house, a very beautiful beach house there that he says he grew up in, and he wants to come back, move back to Australia, buy that house, and have his son and his wife, ideally the whole family unit, join him in paradise here. But of course, now as soon as they get to that beach, these other people that are there, and they're very aggressive upon first but rubbing shoulders, just very oh, locals only.
Don't live here, don't surf here.
Not surfing.
And then even their leader of what appears to be this kind of cult of sorts. It seems very cult-ish, but it's this tribe of, the guys, just some locker room talk, He's all right, mate, hate to tell you this, right, but locals only those that live here can surf here. I know you want to move in here with your boy, ain't gonna happen. So back down now before things get ugly, before things get a whole lot worse. And that's the movie. Is Nicolas Cage is staying near the beach. He can't get there because he just wants to surf. That's the whole thing. He's I grew up here. I want to surf with my boy. I want him to experience the magic of these waters, and they will not let him get near that coastline. He's trying to close a deal to buy this house on this beach so he can move back in, and then also he just wants to surf, but these locals are not going to let him. They start tormenting him psychologically, physically, just all these mind tactics. It's guerrilla warfare of the mind, and I'm sure, as you can no doubt tell by the trailer, he starts to slowly lose his, and then you have that classic Nicolas Cage what's going on, and maybe it's going to end in violence or aggression, some type of confrontation eventually. We don't know, but that is essentially The Surfer. That's the premise of the film. I really enjoyed this. It was a pleasant surprise. I had a feeling whenever I see a trailer for a new Nicolas Cage film, whoever's doing the trailer cut or the marketing, they know what they're working with here. As long as you show his face and give a vibe of the film, Normally people are sold like that. I can't think of a movie trailer I've seen that had him in it that I wasn't immediately interested in. Actually is really good. It's not just like entertaining, it's really well done in terms of like direction and style, and there's like a lot of use of like very close shots on people and the zooms to get there, and then everything always ties back to the ocean and the waves that are so just out of his reach, but also the sweltering heat of the I keep wanting to say Australian outback, but you get my meaning. It's no water, no food, no beach, seemingly no hope of returning back to this idyllic life that he dreams so fondly of, and the locals are just making it harder and harder for him. The anxiety of not knowing when that first punch is going to break. It's almost worse not seeing direct clashes and just having that social horror of being outed from a community, and you have a whole group of people actively not only threatening you physically but also gaslighting you into submission. I was both anxious and also I was just like spitting mad in my seat. I wouldn't win, but I would be throwing some hands maybe. On that note, I keep mentioning these fellas and their whole little good old boys group and all that. There are themes of both toxic masculinity as well as tribalism this film kind of gets into. It's a study on how quick you can go from like hating or feeling fervently about a group of people don't accept you, but as soon as they are friendly and nice and begin to accept you, you suddenly can be like, oh, this feels nice, I feel welcome, I feel like part of this exclusive group or this club now. I think they're very aware of trying to demonstrate that in the film, because the juxtaposition of being accepted into a group versus not being. Normally you think, oh, well, I don't care if you want to accept me, you guys aren't good people, but it's hard to turn away from that acceptance and sense of belonging and purpose, and that's how cults operate. And the film touches on that, because this guy, who I would say is outright kind of a cult leader in this whole thing, he claims to be, Nicolas Cage is trying to find out who he is, goes on social media, sees he's one of those self-help gurus, but he's one of those guys that's like, oh, right, well, really the binds of society are what are constricting you, right? You gotta tell your boss to go kick rocks, you gotta live on your own, you gotta be a man, and I don't want to say it, but fellas these days, they're getting soft. And he's one of those guys. You see him online, these overinflated Andrew Tate-esque personalities. Segueing gracefully away from that, Nicolas Cage, entertaining as always. He's great. I honestly think that even in the worst films he's been in, he always puts his all in and delivers a good performance, a great performance. It's entertaining, you feel bad for him, but also he's kind of not the sharpest tool in the shed, really. So sometimes you're watching this guy just be a clown as he bumbles his way. Again, he's kind of losing his mind in a sense. And as a result of that, he's also not making the most sound decisions and choices in the film. So his heart's in the right place, but his head is, I don't know where his head is. Not in Australia, that's for sure. Australia is great. I love it. And Australians, or even people, whether they're from there or New Zealand, 9 times out of 10, they're friendly. And this is the way of life. They're like, oh, fair dinkum and all that. It's great. The cast does a very good job of being shitty, gaslighting, and hateable. I'm sure they're all super friendly sweethearts in real life, but all these kids with the shit-eating grins in their face, and they're all just like, right, yeah, have it, you buzz off, mate. They all do a very good job of you wanting just to punch them in the face. That's the point, is it's supposed to be antagonistic by nature. The film induced a constant state of dread and social anxiety in me via confrontation, so it did a great job in that regard. It's definitely more of a thriller, but still anxiety inducing, and I always like it when films can prompt that emotion from me. It means that's art right there and it's doing its job, so it brought that out of me and made for just a very tense and enjoyable experience. In terms of personal enjoyment, though, I did really love my time with the film, but I guess the only notes that I have, and they're very minor gripes if anything, but admittedly, based on what the trailer showed me and what I was expecting going into it, my expectations were subverted, not in a bad way per se, but just that I was low-key expecting more of a Mandy vibe, and instead I ended up getting more of a Pig vibe, which is fine. Pig and Mandy, both excellent movies in their own right. Seeing our boy down on his luck for so long, I was almost hoping for more for him. In that similar vein, admittedly our protagonist, not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's a doofus. He's a silly guy, and clearly, definitely he doesn't have his priorities straight, and clearly I think that's part of the point. His head's not quite screwed on properly. He's a bit delusional, just based on his family status. His relationship with both his wife and his son are low-key crumbling around him, and in trying to get this house, he is woefully ignorant of the heavy tribalism in the area, and instead of trying to work with that or figure out a way through, I mean, he's just kind of like bullheadedly sticking around trying to make it work, but he's just kind of being just a silly little guy. Like, end of the day, don't get me wrong, I loved The Surfer. I really enjoyed this film. I think that it's definitely, I'm gonna purchase it when it comes out for sure, add it to my collection and such. I don't think you can still see it in theaters. I think I only was able to catch it because it was showing at my local art house cinema. I don't know how much it got in the way of like national distribution. I also don't know if it's going to be one of those movies that makes its way to Shudder eventually. I recommend seeing it. If you can see it in the theater, go for it. Aside from my 2 minor personal gripes, which do slightly affect my review, it's a thrilling, anxiety-ridden ride that I would definitely recommend as a solid watch if you're down for that kind of thing. I would give The Surfer a low 5 out of 5, honestly. A low 5 out of 5. It is damn near perfection. If you like Nic Cage even half as much as I do, 100% it's worth a watch. It's a classic Nic Cage joint right here. That's all I gotta say about The Surfer. Try to watch it in theaters if you can. Otherwise, thank you guys and gals so much for watching. I hope you all have a good day, have a good night, and as always, I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye, travelers.